All right, before I forget, there's also 4 bolts that come in the center console. I just leave mine in there and until I'm ready to mount it up. But that's how that fastens down in the back. It anchors in pretty sturdy. They're under this piece of rubber. I don't have any of the change holder pieces that sit on the top of this, but I've never needed them. I don't even think I've ever seen one in person. But before we go in the garage, I just remembered. Yeah, I showed you the foam cork. That is up under the dash. Got to pull that out before you put that in there. This is my spare. This is my spare harness that I keep in case I find a console with a damaged harness. You see the difference in the harness? This is a simple one that doesn't have, this is a pretty simple harness that doesn't have any kind of accessories. Some of your higher trim levels, they're gonna have the, you'll have quite a few extra wires for the heated rear seats. And those wires, you can just cut them. And if you have anything else that you want to pass through that connector, you could splice into it if you want to do that, or just save them until you find a car that has good heated seats if you want to add it. But here's your police car harness. This is what you find when you buy these cars. They just cut off. They cut off what isn't necessary, especially if they take these consoles out. And yeah, you'll have these. And this is, you see it has a lighter, has a power outlet. So this was going to one of those aftermarket big steel consoles they put in there, like a Giotto desk or something. And on this end, these wires attach to your vehicle harness. And you have your 3 wires for your auxiliary USB. And you have your 2 wires, which just match the colors, for your antenna for your key fob. And this will be mounted on your tunnel. That's why this was, I cut this out of the car, but normally this would be actually, all this would be connected. Like I pulled this out. So you could either cut this and splice it into the harness, so it's like a civilian model, because the ones that I have, I just leave the antenna in there. And you could just, well, actually, I may have done that, but I might not have. I actually think I took them out, but I left the screws in. So you could take yours, mount it up inside, upside down, because this antenna here, when it mounts on the tunnel, it looks like this. Mounts up in the console, plugs in like this. It actually screws up in like that. And you have all your, I'll show you the wires on the consoles that I have in the garage. All right. So before the recession, cars got really expensive. It was a lot cheaper to get retired police cars. Now the prices are pretty high on these things, a lot more than they used to be. Now, I bought 2 of these. I'm going to buy 2 more. I think they look better than what I did. I had, I'll show you what I did on all my stuff that's in the trunk. I fiberglassed one of the shifter ones. But this right here, if you're wondering what this little plastic piece is for, this fits nice and neatly. It clips right on in. You unscrew these, it clips right on in. The only thing about this is, see how you can't use the clips that come with it. The clips that come with the new holder are too thick. I'm trying to avoid this walking back and forth stuff, but it's all right. These are the clips that come with that adapter, and they are just too thick. The size difference. Look how thick these things are. There's no way they'll fit through the plastic, so you have to pop these off and reuse your old ones that are in your shifter. And this is what I did originally back when these were really expensive. These little plastic cup holders. I mean, you can buy them on eBay. They make them in China now. And I just fiberglassed it and put some body filler and sanded it down and painted it. And a little cup holder, a little platform. It wore out over the years, but still pretty nice. You'll also find your track control module under there. You leave that alone. You got lots of these antennas. And what else was in here? Oh yeah, so your for your power outlets that are on the tunnel that come from the car. Now you're gonna have a couple that are back here. It'll actually show like your power outlet, and you'll also have your spotlight power back here. Then up in the front you'll have some battery feeds, and I'll show you that. You will have some battery feeds here, and these are those ones that you kind of have to take out to check to make 100% sure. You see, these are your ignition feeds right here, and you have these other police battery feeds. So you've got police ignition feed 1 and 2, and you've got police battery feeds plus one more ignition feed. So that is 21 through 24 and 7 and 8. So that's pretty handy. 7 and 8, which is right at the very top right here. And 21 through 24. See that right? Yep, 21 through 24, which is right here. So that's going to be right here, counting 4. You have these ones right here. And those are what you'll use to power up your accessories inside your car. Now, I added spotlights. Now, you can do one of two things. If you want to put fog lights on your car, you can either just change the switch so it has the fog light setting, take the car to the dealer, or you an OBD2 scan tool, and you could actually program that feature into the car. I have not tried that, but I have a trigger wire coming from my switches. I have a trigger wire that comes through here. These are called pass-through wires. So you'll see these same wire colors on the tunnel, and they can be used for anything coming from inside the car. You know, they have sirens and all kinds of lights. They just use these. But I put one trigger wire that goes to this relay and comes off my battery power, and I grounded them right here. So, oh yeah, and I just use this setting right here. So I don't know which actual, I can't remember which fuse is which, but anytime if you blow a fuse, I mean, when you do this install, right, when you put this center console in, well, mine are not very sharp, so you do have to push down pretty hard on some of these fuses that don't have a lot of metal showing. But yeah, you just want to use that. And we'll go back into the car, no, inside the garage, and I will show you these consoles and what wires are what. And I set up all my grounds to be able to go right to, there's going to be a stud sticking out of the center console, right? And all 3 of these will fit right down on top of it. You put a nut, I'll include a nut in there, 10 millimeter. You just tighten these up. And that's for all the grounding on all the accessories on this. Now this one here, you can see it had extra accessories. Now you don't need all these green wires and blue wires. These don't go to anything that the police car is equipped with already. You'll have to find other stuff like heated seats, and like I put a heated and cooled cup holder in mine, but all that I wired a different. I use any kind of accessory like that. I put to ignition power. You'll see I have labeled everything. I like to label everything so everybody knows what this is. And I run on this car the power run. I actually run a separate hot wire that is constant power. Runs all the way back through, comes out up here for the ignition. And that's going to be this one right here. So this wire here is going to be, it's just my solid red wire that comes from the front to the back. This is my constant power for the front outlet, right? And I run that to, it's red with a white stripe. So you have red with a white stripe. I actually took a piece of wire from a police harness, and I attached it to each of these and put a double connector so you know exactly what color to match it to. All right, so that's for that. And then we go to this here, which is just like a red on red wire, right? And this one here is ignition on power, and what the purpose of this is this is the rear console AC power ignition on. This is something like for the back here, kids can leave stuff plugged in, so I figured that's best to just leave that ignition power, right? So yeah, you have this double red color going to like a pink and white. All right, you can see that double red to a pink and white. So we have that, we have this power. Then we go to, this is our ignition on. You can tell the ignition on because I also included all the lighting, which is the orange and white. Anything with orange on it is for the lighting. And this goes to the purple. So this will be for ignition, and I've listed what it's, yeah, this is ignition on power. This is for the in-console light only here. This is in-console light. Then also I have the lights to the cup holder, front outlet, rear outlet, and all that's set up for ignition on. So that's what this is. So you're going to do your purple wire for ignition on, and this is for your in-console lights only. Yeah, and your cup holder. Yeah, your cup holder, your front outlets. Yeah, those lights, just the lights. And we go over to here. This is my which one is this? It's hard to hold the camera and do this. All right, so this is the constant power front outlet. So okay, the constant power front outlet right here, right? This is the wire I added. So this is so it's the red with a white stripe. So for your constant power is your red with your white stripe. You can see that, and this is the wire that I added. Okay, and we'll go back to that first one. But first we'll do this here. This is a red with a blue stripe. So red with a blue stripe, right, is your inside console power constant battery. So this here, constant power for your in-console, this is your in-console power here. And that goes to, that's white with a very distinct red stripe to it. So let's go back to this one. This here, which is, this is ignition on power. And this one here is for, this is the rear of the console AC power ignition on. And this here is going to be, this is the rear console, so it's ignition on. So white with a pink stripe. You have to remember, if you see white with a pink stripe, this is ignition on. It's easy to get these two mixed up, especially if your wires are a little bit faded or discolored. They're very similar in color. You just have to be careful of that. So I have all that, and these right here are, you just match these wires, right? Match the colors. These are for your auxiliary power jack inside the in the console. The other one's for the iPhone. This is like for your other stuff. This is, it's the same as the wire colors are the same as on the police car. And you have your, this one doesn't have the antenna, but it has the plug. I've labeled the plug. So this is the police, has the mounted on center console. But you could plug one in, screw it right in here, and you could simply just put the wires into the into the harness on the car side, and it's already on the harness here, so you can put it on the car side, or you could just leave it alone and forget about it. You also have your, this is for your other adapter. Your police car is going to have it in the same spot. You just plug this in, slip this in here. All this is going to light up. All that stuff's going to work. And label these. But they are disconnected. then I've already gone over this. So, and there's, I think I had one I did a little different. Which one of these did I do differently? All right, so they're all the same, but if you have anything that you want to add into the car, you can add it on this side of the connector. You can add it on this side here if you want to. You just need to know which wire obviously corresponds to this. And I'm going to re-insulate all this with tape. And oh, this too. I'll forget about. Okay, so most of these are going to look like this. Right? When you get them, they always have a lot of wear. The ones in the junkyard are not going to be the greatest. They're not going to be in like the best condition. And this one here I did myself. And it came out really nice. I did a couple years ago. It's been holding up really well. And they're like $20. You can buy them on eBay. And this is a pretty heavily worn out example. But this is the foam pad underneath. You can see all the staples. These are simply from the factory. The leather is stapled on. And then you just put the cover with a latching mechanism. And there's a little piece that screws in right here. You just put that in there, right? And I will show you a really cheap option. This is why when you go to the junkyard, right, you see pieces of this stuff and you know you need a console. Get what you can get because none of these are ever complete. Most of these I had to piece together from different consoles. And there's also, I have a special, really good stapler for this. I have, yeah. So you have to use the narrower, really heavy duty staples. I use the narrow ones because they don't bend as easily. The thick ones are pretty strong, they'll shoot right in. You'll have to shoot these staples. It takes about 3 tries before you get one to go in, but this DeWalt stapler is pretty good. And you could get one of these done in less than an hour. And they come out pretty nice. And okay, we've covered all that. And like I said, you have to use the clips from this, the bottom of this. You need to take the clips. If you buy these things, put them in there because you'll break your plastic. These are great, but they don't have good clips. So going back to the car. It's pretty hot today. I will show you. Power my seat back a little bit. I don't drive this every day, so there's no hurry for me to get anything done on it. All right. I set mine up differently. I put a disconnect on it because I have all these accessories that I used a Dremel. I used a Dremel and I just cut squares in this and I was able to put these switches. And I cut the rubber, I believe I cut the rubber first. I traced it out and I cut the rubber and then I actually set it in there and I drew out the squares and I just sawed these out. And they work great. They're kind of hidden. I'm gonna replace it because this broke off a little. I have spares of these. It's power outlets. And I put a disconnect on here. Everything's labeled because I, of course, just because it looks cool, I made the alternating taillights and headlights work again. So I put this in here so I could disconnect it. I could do the disconnect. It has my fog lights, the alternating tail lights, and the alternating headlights, right? And those are set to ignition on power. And because even if they were on constant power, they still wouldn't work because the car has to be on. The car actually has to be running for that feature to work. That's where this comes in, right? And but I put this, which is actually pretty nice. I put this here on, I put this on constant power because the panel lights up, and I'll put it in a place where you could see it. You could actually set it to where it's solid, and you could do this cool feature here, this one here. You can do this cool one. It actually will circle the whole car. It looks really cool. And I put these in the reverse lights, that big light in the back. I'm also going to put some diodes in the lights, in the fog lights, and also make it so those will alternate flash too. I got those from the junkyard. So everything fits pretty nicely up in here. Now, this is your grounding lug. I have more stuff and I've labeled everything, so it's not the easiest to see on mine, but once you set this in place, you will be able to see that's the terminal that I used for, you can just kind of slide this over, and that's where your ground wires are going to go onto. You can either use that one, or you can use this one right here, but a piece of the interior trim is on that, so you'd have to cut that out so you'd have a good ground. You just have to kind of make the hole a little bigger, but you can ground that out really actually on any of these. You can set your ground wires on any of these, but I chose this one here. I chose that one. So all this, if you don't have that box, you could just unscrew the bottom piece, and you could just snap this in, and you don't even need that little piece at the bottom. You can see where I put the clips in. Really nice piece of plastic. And yeah, you just discard this little piece here, and I will show you real quick what these lights look like. They're pretty cool. Figure if the car is capable of doing it. I've got the keys too far away from, oh, they're not plugged in. Okay. So what we need to do, let's pop this off the side here. Plug this in. See what I was talking about with it's not reading the key because mine is actually inside the console. So now we're going to work. Now it recognizes it. Now it recognizes everything. So we're going to go ahead and I'll put these lights on. I'll put this one on. This is a cool pattern here. I like that one. That looks cool. And then we'll go to this right here. And we'll put these on. All right. And I'll show you what this looks like. Is my turn signal on? Yeah. Go around to the front. I drilled that out. Used a hole saw. I like the look of that. It looks pretty cool. Same with this side here. These are just some old headlights I found in the junkyard. Cleaned them up pretty nice. Go around to the back of the car. This car does have a cam in it. 6.1 Hellcat oil pump. Heavy duty SRT valve springs. See here. Then we close this down. See this here, it looks pretty cool. This says non-MDS delete. It has MDS delete kit. BBK headers. Pretty much new every gasket and seal in the motor I replaced. And it's pretty fast. So thanks for watching Driving Cheap with Jeff. Please like and subscribe and give a thumbs up.